Hello everyone, and welcome to our tutorial on how to import a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet into a MySQL database. First, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Matt Overwine, and I work for the Office of Instructional Design here at Northern Kentucky University. I work for Mike Lively, who is often the host of our tutorials here. So we have Microsoft Excel up and running right now, and we also have access to a cPanel for an online server that we have access to. So I'll go to that real quick just to show you what that might look like. That's actually phpMyAdmin, but the way we get to our phpMyAdmin, which you'll need as well, is through our cPanel on our website here. So if you scroll down here, you can see that our phpMyAdmin is right here, and also how we create databases is through here. So I just want to let you know up front what you need to get started. So first, let's go ahead and go to Excel and just bring up what we're going to be importing into the MySQL database. Here you see just a very, very generic table. We have students, three different tests, and then a final grade, just averaging those few things. I know that's very basic, but this is just to show you how to do it. So with all this data here, normally you wouldn't really want to have to go ahead and type everything into your databases. Granted, this is pretty small, so you could do it, but say it was on a much larger scale. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to save this file as a specific type of file that is easily imported into MySQL databases. And that type of file is a CSV file. We can do that just by going to File, Save As, and then just pull down the Save As type here and look for CSV. Shouldn't be too far down here. Surely. Here we go. CSV, comma, delimited, sorry, I can't even say that word, document. So go ahead and click on that and hit Save. You'll see the type there change. After you hit save, it's going to say this. Well, I already have one existing there, but we're just going to go ahead and replace it because I just tested this earlier to make sure I could do it correctly. The selected type of file does not support workbooks. All this is saying is you cannot have multiple sheets when you're importing this kind of file into a MySQL database. So just hit OK, and it's going to keep the active sheet only, the one on top. So go ahead and hit OK. And it's also going to mention that there are some features that are saved in the CSV file or that will be lost from your original file. So really just go ahead and hit yes here. It's going to leave out all the incompatible features, and it should be just fine. Hit yes, and it went ahead and saved it. So now actually you can see up the top where this is CSV. So these can still be viewed in Excel, and they can be edited in Excel, but we like to look at them in a different way just to make sure they look okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and minimize each of the things I had up here just so you can see the file I saved on my desktop real quick. I'm going to go ahead and minimize Excel, minimize browser here, and surely here's the file that I need. It's gradebook.csv. We're going to go ahead and right click on this and open with, just to open it with Notepad, just so we can see what it looks like in Notepad. Okay, here's what it looks like in Notepad, and you can see pretty much the exact same table that you saw in Excel, except it's all separated by commas. So that's what a CSV is. It separates each field, each value with a comma. So you see student, test 1, test 2, test 3, final grade, just like before. And everything is in the order it was before. So that's really what we want to see. But the way we're going to be doing this is we're going to be importing all the data down here into our database. We're going to be creating the names of each field in a different way just when we create the table. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just go ahead and delete this top set here because we're going to create that in another way. Go ahead and hit File and save that. That should be fine. Okay, when you see this window, that just means that it's giving you a little bit of trouble because the file we have open is also open in Excel still. So you could go back and close it in Excel, or you could just go ahead and rename it something a little bit different here. So I'm just going to rename it slightly different, put an underscore import next to it, and hit save. There we go. Less trouble that way. So now that we have this up and running, go ahead and get rid of Notepad here, and we're going to go ahead and go to our browser and log into your cPanel. Now you may have another way of accessing your server. cPanel is one, Plesk is another, I know, and either way you can mess with your databases this way. Just go ahead and browse to the area where you can create a database, however you might do that. I like to just use the MySQL database button here. It's going to load this up. And easiest way to create a database here is just new database. We're going to name it, let's see here, we will just name it test DB for test database. Create the database, and it says it's been created. I'm not going to go much more into specifically how to create a user for a database and all that good stuff because that could be covered in another tutorial, but for right now we're just going to browse down here to the letter T to see, it looks like it has a bunch of them here, so let's go ahead and look to where we think the test.db will be. Yeah, it looks like it'll be around here somewhere. Alright, test DB, there it is, so one is created. So now that we have a database there, we can also access it with our PHP MyAdmin, which I already have open in the other tab you can see, but I'll also show you how you can get to that from the cPanel. Alright, just scroll down here and go to PHP MyAdmin and click on that, and it'll open up something similar like this. From this list of databases, go ahead and choose the one we just created, which was test DB. I'm just going to hit page over. Apparently we have a lot of databases on there. Click on test DB. So now we have an empty database with no tables or anything. We're just going to create a table real quick just by clicking this area. We're going to name the table gradebook, just like our file. And the number of fields, if you remember right, was 1 field for the student and then 4 for the 3 tests and the average of the last grade. So that's a total of 5 fields we want. Go ahead and hit go, and it'll lead you to the next part of creating a table. So go ahead and type in those different types of fields again. So we have student, we have test 1. You can see I've actually already entered all these while testing it. Test 3, and final grade. I'm going to go ahead and leave these as varchar here. That just means you can put any kind of character in there, and we're going to set the length at 10, just because I know that none of my grades or anything get beyond 10. But if you have student names in there, you're more than likely going to want to have more than 10 characters, because usually students' names with first and last will be more than 10. But I'm just going to set mine to 10. It just means 10 characters in the name, first and last. So mine are just mainly numbers because I just gave the students generic names of numbers, 1 through 10. So this looks pretty good. We don't want to set anything to primary right here, even though we could. But that's more to do with databases that can be explained in another tutorial. So go ahead and hit save, and it should create this table for us. There we go. It just reviews the SQL query, and we now have a table with no data in it. But to get data in this, and also you can see that the gradebook table showed up over here on the left. That's good. So if we click on that, it's going to be the same thing without the SQL query, more than likely. Right. So from all these options up here, you could browse through the data if we had any, but as you can see, there's a little X up there showing us that we don't have any data. So I'm going to go to import. And here's the part that took me a while to figure out, but thankfully it figured it out eventually. Go ahead and browse to that file that we made, the gradebook.csv. Oops, off the page there. Here it is right there. Go ahead and hit open on that one. Now if you remember, just leave all this stuff the same. But we exported as a CSV, but I found out that using the CSV using load data is actually the way to get this to work. I had no success using just the CSV option. So if we wanted to just replace all of the data we have in our table with the new data we're getting here, we would go ahead and click on replace table data with file. But since we don't have any data in there, we're just going to go ahead and leave that blank. All of our fields are terminated by a comma, so let's go ahead and change this to a comma. And the rest of them, we don't actually have to worry about any of this because we didn't have any strange characters in there. So just go ahead and leave those the same for now. And leave that on auto. And let's go ahead and give it a go. Scroll down and hit go. It looks like it says import has successfully finished. 1 query is executed. So it looks like We have 11 rows affected here. And let's go ahead and look at the data. Just go over to browse. Now that it's not an X, it's a hand now. Looks like whenever I saved my CSV document, I forgot to get rid of the top row like I had just said. But you can go ahead and just delete it as easy by clicking here and clicking X. It stands for delete. It's going to ask you if you really want to do that. And I do. So here you can see all of the data that we had in the Excel spreadsheet looking pretty much exactly the same, which can be useful for attaching to other programs using PHP or whatever you guys happen to use. So this is just a short explanation of how to get your data from a Excel spreadsheet to a MySQL database.